Awesome.
Unmute. And we are live. Hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. For tonight's podcast, I actually have Rossie McCree with me, and we're going to be talking about the 1989 film Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy, A City Hall. This also has an all-star cast in it, if you actually think about it, and that is the fact that Samuel L. Jackson's in this movie. We have Cuba Gooding Jr. in this movie. This movie is just stacked with a, a lot of actors that we actually know that are famous today. And what else do you have to say about that, though, Rossi?
Also, we want to remember that we have James Earl Jones in the movie who plays King Joffrey, and he's from everyone knows him as Simba's dad in The Lion King. We have Vanessa Bell Calloway who plays Imani Easy, who is the wife that's supposed to marry Eddie Murphy in the beginning. And who else? Who else? I think that's and Eric LaSalle, who plays the Soul Glow son, Daryl Jinx. So just some extras there for you.
Okay. But yeah, what I love about this is like the very beginning of the film where you actually open up to where Akeem is getting ready to start his day, and he
Yeah,
doesn't start his day like we do. His
right,
day is just preparation for himself. Like
right.
he has his own servants that's getting him ready and everything to start his day. For instance, my favorite scene is when he's getting ready to go to the bathroom and he looks at his butler and he goes, "For once, I wish that I could. Can I go to the bathroom by myself?" And he's like, "No, that's not going to happen." Then
Right.
they wind up helping him gargle and everything to brush his teeth.
Right.
And then next thing you know it, he's sitting at this long table with James Earl Jones and he goes, "What is troubling you, my son?" And that's when, of course, we wind up having Eddie Murphy talking into the box. He winds up saying, "Well, let me just talk to you." And, and he goes, Rose bearers.
Because it's his 21st birthday that day.
Right, right.
So they're
Which I
getting him
thought was
ready for.
hilarious.
Oh, absolutely hilarious. The gargle scene when they gargle him, I thought that was funny. But because all the scenes that they have set up, they're, they're funny scenes. The long table where they have, speakerphones to talk to each other. I thought that was funny. And when he's like you said, let me talk to you, and get up and go over and talk to his dad because on his 21st birthday, he's they have a prearranged marriage for him. So they already picked out the girl that he's going to marry and all that. And Eddie Murphy, who plays Hakim, he doesn't want to have an arranged marriage. He actually wants to be able to do things for himself and find someone that he loves. So you
Right.
can take it from when the all the celebration starts and we we get
Is that
ready to
because I did
meet
the
who he's
like?
gonna marry.
I have a quick question. Is that because I had the face app that one time and I was like, "Keem, that's why I'm taking that part."
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
but
I
but
love your
yeah,
app.
I'm addicted to it.
I
But
I I
you
I I
know,
live for your face apps. Yes.
I'm glad you like them. So this is what I liked about this, though, right? You have a City Hall, you have James Earl Jones in this
Right.
scene and everything, and it just works out perfect. For instance, you have this big old huge banquet where
Yeah.
Missy Joe's here. She wants to say hello to you.
Hi, Missy Joe.
Tara's here too. Hello, hey Tara.
Sarah.
And what I liked about this was you can definitely tell he was not comfortable being there. You can
Yeah.
definitely tell that he'd rather be somewhere else than there because
Right.
even his facial expression showed he was great. Not what I
Right.
wanted to do for my 21st birthday,
Yeah.
you know? But then the girl comes in and he goes, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" So he winds up talking to her, and so he's just trying to get to know her. He goes, "Okay, what
Yes.
kind of music do you like? Whatever music you like.
That's
What kind of food do
right.
you like? Whatever music,
Whatever you
whatever
like.
you like." I'm like, I actually dated someone once, right? Where there's like, I was like trying to get to know them,
Yeah.
and I was like, "So, what kind of music do you like?" "I don't know." I'm like,
Uh
"Okay." So I'm a
yeah.
king. So I actually felt how Akeem felt.
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of food do you like? Whatever you like. I don't. And then
And the barking scene, you got to
yeah,
call. Well, okay. Before we even go
yeah,
further, can I just bring up something really quick?
yeah.
The scene before he meets the new wife, supposed wife that he's supposed to marry. Remember when her parents or her dad's there, and he's like, we want you to meet your new wife, and this big lady comes up and she comes forward, and he and Arsenio Hall have that look like. And then come to find out that was just her mom. And then you see, Imani, who's played by
Right.
Vanessa Bell Calloway, come in. And as they're back there, like you said, he's trying to get to know her. What do you like? Anything you like? Remember, he's like, well, so you'll do anything that I tell you to do. And she's like, yes. And he's like, bark like a dog. And I love
And
that.
then he
The
goes,
little bark
okay,
that she does.
the barking is hilarious. And then also too,
The best.
when he tells her to leave, she's barking as she's leaving.
And, and
And
and jumping on one leg. Yes.
right, because he told them to jump on one leg, so she jumped
Yes.
on one leg.
Right.
And so as she's leaving, Simi, he goes, "So you did not like her?" He goes, he goes, "No." He goes, "I did not like her because I want someone that's gonna love me for me, not who I am. I want to get
Right.
to know her, not even." And another thing that Simi also asks him is like, he says this to him. He goes, "So this woman will actually arouse you sexually. You don't want that?" Because I don't want just that. I want to be, uh, I want to actually have a conversation rather
Right.
than being geared towards that, which I
Right.
thought was really admirable of Akeem's character and the way he
Absolutely.
is, because
And
it's
the
rare
way
that
he
you
looked
actually
at
find
women.
that. Right. He looked with them with such beauty and
Yes.
respect, which is
Right.
something I admired. And
Yeah.
then I also like. I know that I'm going back to the the scene with the dinner and everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
at the dinner table and breakfast.
Yeah.
But there was that one scene where I had a laugh about. I have to talk about is when he goes, For once, I wish I could take care of myself. I wish I could bathe. Well, I like that. I like whenever they're bathing.
The royal penis. I like that. Yeah.
The royal penis, which was I thought was hilarious.
Also,
But
I thought was funny was, remember his the guy that is kind of, I don't know what you'd call him, the bigger guy that end up singing. He announces everything. He's the one that makes all the announcements. And
oh yeah,
so he's getting ready to announce the future father-in-law, mother-in-law.
mhm,
And you think he's getting ready to talk, but he ends up singing that song.
mhm.
I just found that absolutely hilarious because I was looking at the actors behind him because I'm dying and I just wanted to see if any of them would break character, because that part to me was just hilarious because he just started singing and he sang that full song, and then remember he just stops and just,
He's all
I love
serious.
that part. I love that part.
I love it. That part's hilarious though too. And then of course I like the whole entire sparring between him and Simi, uh,
Yes.
Akeem and Simi, and then
Yes.
finally he goes, "So where are we gonna go that you can find your woman?" He goes, America." So he winds up going to Queens because he thinks that he can
Right.
find someone in Queens, which is like the
And
roughest neighborhood you can
exactly.
go to in New York.
Right. Because he thinks he
Which
can
I,
find a queen in Queens.
Queens,
And
right?
so they get there, and oh gosh, the scene where, remember, they get robbed and
Hmm.
they're walking down a street and everyone in the homeless people are wearing the African garb. The people, everyone in the neighborhood had taken their stuff and was wearing the African garb, and the guy that opens up
Yep.
the jacket and had all his jewelry and everything. I thought that was funny because when I first saw the movie, it just, you didn't really think about it, and now looking back when I watched it today, I just died. It was absolutely funny. And that's when they go into the barbershop and you get to meet the
Right.
rest of the characters that Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall plays, which I love those guys.
I love those guys. They felt so real, to be honest with you.
Yes.
You would actually have those kind of debates in a barbershop with
Yeah.
Cassius Clay, who's turned Muhammad Ali, who
Right.
would, in fact, this was actually when Mike Tyson was starting to get big in the 80s,
Okay.
so
Okay.
too, because remember, they were having a debate who would win,
Yes,
Muhammad
exactly.
Ali or Mike Tyson.
Right.
So, we have those debates all the time and everything too. So it just felt so real to have that
Yes.
kind of talk inside the
Yes.
barbershop. And then of course when Eddie Murphy comes in, Akeem, they're looking at him and goes, and the guy is feeling on him and goes, is that velvet?
That's right. That's right. And I love every time that he goes into the barber shop, the Eddie Murphy's the barber, his main character that he plays, he always has a name for Hakeem. So what Hakeem had went in there one day and he's like, Kuta Kente, and I died because I loved every time he'd go in there, there was a new name for him. And
Right.
the way that they address him and all the, like you said, all the old guys in there, it seems so real because they seem like real people. The Jewish guy that was Saul, that Eddie Murphy plays,
Right.
and you really have to look hard at him because you don't really see Eddie Murphy in him.
No, you don't. You really don't. That's
Yeah,
just how
yeah,
well the makeup was.
yes, right.
And it actually felt like he was white, to be honest,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I
which is
remember
amazing.
looking at him. I'm trying to find Eddie Murphy because you can see him in the other characters, but you don't see him in Saul. And I love that because
No.
he had the voice down, and Eddie Murphy's the king of voices and disguises and all
Right.
that. But I love the barbershop scene. Yes, all of them.
Same. And you know what else I like though? Remember whenever he goes in there and gets his ponytail cut off though, and he goes, and then and the barber's just like throws it out, and he goes, "Okay, $5," and he even felt sorry for his own self that he had to cut that off
Right.
and
Because
everything
Eddie
too.
Murphy, Hakim, goes in there because before this, there's billboards and commercials that you see throughout the film about some
Exactly.
product called Soul Glow, which is the oil spray for your Jerry curl. And so he
Right.
thought that was popular. That's how you get women because the guy who Louis Anderson plays, Maurice, lets him know you have to look like that and be rich to get a girl like the girl that he wants. So he goes into the barbershop because he says he wants the Soul Glow. And
Right.
Eddie Murphy's character is like, you don't want that. Nobody wants that. You look good with your natural hair. And then cuts off the ponytail. And yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And then he goes, look at my hair. Look at the
that's
way my hair is. I don't need none of that. He goes, all natural right here.
that's
And
right.
then, oh, okay, we're on the wrong studio. Sorry about that, Zach. WandaVision is tomorrow night. We're just in the wrong studio. Sorry. But anyways, back to what we were saying.
Yes,
Another thing that I thought was really funny was the fact that there was actually the scene where he meets the landlord,
yes,
and he goes, "Yeah, I have someone right here. Matter of fact, I have a shithole of an apartment. To be honest with you, we go upstairs." And he goes, "Yeah, that's the one we want." And it has shock
oh,
and everything written on the bottom and everything. And then the dog. He
right,
goes, "There was also a dog that died inside that same apartment as
right.
well." I thought that was really funny.
The
And
homeless guy that,
then,
that rolls down the stairs and just
right,
lands there at the bottom and they step over him to go up the stairs. That's how horrible this apartment is. Yes.
right. I just thought that was hilarious, to be honest with you,
Okay.
because he's like, "Yeah, I just want a girl to fall in love with me and for who I am." So what he does is he gets the real shithole of an apartment and everything, and
Yes.
the landlord goes, "It's a real shithole," and he's over there taking off the yellow tape that was marked off from the cops and
Right.
everything. This is like a condemned apartment that's probably still being investigated by CSI for all we know.
Right. Right.
And then I like when he goes out to the balcony, when Alkeem goes up to the balcony and goes, "Good morning, my neighbors. Fuck you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
Now,
yes, fuck you too."
now they have the apartment, and so they want to go meet the girl of his dreams. So they go to the nightclub. the famous nightclub scene where they walk in there and they sit at this booth and they go through a number of women to get to know them. And every single woman that they meet has something wrong with them. You got the lady that, which I really loved, is the lady that had the lighter underneath their palm
Yeah.
and says that,
Oh,
I used to be Joan of Arc in my former life. The Arsenio Hall plays the ugly lady, and that's eating on the cherry,
yeah.
and is, you know, coming on to Eddie Murphy strong, and then looks over at Arsenio Hall and goes, "And I'll take your friend too." And Arsenio Hall spits out his drink. I love that scene because I love the different women that they had and how all screwed up they were, and for him to basically go and find a woman, and obviously he's not going to find her there. But I love the club scene.
Me too. The club scene is hilarious and also goes to show you how hard it is to actually find a woman in New
Right,
York or
right,
anywhere. The dating scene is just horrible, anyways,
yeah,
in a sense. And it just shows you how bad the dating scene actually is in New York.
right, right.
And then my favorite thing is they meet the barbershop guy again. He goes, "Hey, Kuma
Yes.
Kente." He goes, "What are you two doing?" He goes, "Oh, just trying to meet a girl and everything." "Well, you haven't been to the right places." "Well, we've been to every bar in New York." He goes, "Yeah, but you can't meet no one in no bar. You got to go to church."
That's right.
So
That's right. I love that.
he goes, "I love the Lord." Yeah, that one.
That was Reverend Brown when you go
Yeah,
into the
Reverend
church,
Brown.
and I love that scene. He comes out, Arsenio Hall plays him, and you have to admit he did a great job at that
Yep.
as that character, because I know I've met that person in churches before that I've gone to, the Baptist church I've gone to. I've met him before, met some of those people before. So those are real characters. But tell him what happens when he introduced Randy Watson.
Oh yeah, sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate. That's right.
Now I'm gonna introduce you to somebody that is very popular. It's gonna be sexual chocolate. And so and then sexual chocolate just gets on stage.
Oh my
It's
God.
like the best way to describe sexual chocolate is to describe Rick Brown. What was his name? Rick James. Rick James is the
There you
perfect
go.
person to
Yes. Yes. There you go. Yeah.
describe his character as Rick
Right.
James.
Right.
But and then of course you have the Jerry Kroll guy that's there
Yes.
with
Right.
too that. And I like how Eddie Murphy just goes on ahead, gets a pile of money like it's nothing, and just dumps it into the offering plate because he's so amused with the girl that he's falling in love with. He goes,
That's right. That's right.
just does
Because he
that.
sees her, who's Lisa McDowell, who's the owner of McDowell's. And before that, the guys, Hakim and Simi, had to go
Yeah,
and get a regular job. So they end up going to McDowell's, which is basically like a McDonald's.
mhm.
And they
But
meet
it doesn't
Lisa's
have a
father.
sesame
Sorry, you
seed.
had me crying laughing. What'd you say?
But he doesn't have a sesame seed, Brian. That's the only difference. And it has
Yeah, that's the
he
only
goes,
difference.
and then he goes, "I have the golden M. They have the golden arches."
Arch,
Pretty much,
that's
he's
right.
like the Dollar General of fast food, basically.
Yes,
Is what he's saying.
absolutely. And he's proud of it, you know, he's made a lot of money off of it. And that's where Lisa works. She does the bookkeeping, who Eddie Murphy, you know, that's his love interest, who he ends up, you know, wanting to be with. But she dates this jerky guy named Daryl Jinx, who is
Daryl.
the son of the creator of Soul Glow. And I hate that character. He's such an
Me too.
ass.
He definitely
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
And And then especially when the offering plate goes in, he's over there just passing the offering plate. So he was greedy with his money and
That's
everything.
right.
It just goes to show you that someone who has money is greedy, but also too, it shows some type of lightheartedness with Eddie Murphy, who's just freely giving
Yeah. A
and
lot of
everything.
money.
Yeah, and matter of fact, Daryl gets credit from Lisa because Lisa
Right.
thinks that Daryl was the one who put it in the offering plate. Because yeah, I did whatever I could to help. I'm like, you're
Yeah, he's
such a jerk.
yeah, you know, I just, you know, just want to help. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Or the scene where because he, remember, he meets Hakim and Simi, And remember the jokes he made about him, about, I bet
Mhm.
you ran with, lions in Africa. I bet you, whatever, just belittling them. And when
Right.
he comes to pick up, Lisa in a sports car, and, Simi and Hakim are outside washing the windows at McDowell's. Remember when he tosses the milkshake at him and like, here, can you throw this away from me for me? And tosses it, and
Right.
it goes all up in Eddie Murphy's face and all. But you pretty much get to know what type of guy that is at that point.
Definitely, most definitely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing too that I want to mention though too that I thought that was really funny was when McDowell is over there showing Akeem what they do on day-to-day basis as
Yeah.
far as cleaning
Oh,
the
yeah.
kitchen. And Akeem goes, "Do you know how to mop?" "Yes, I know how to mop." And he goes on ahead and he's over there, he's not even doing it right. He still has the
Right.
mop in the bucket. He goes, and he's just pushing it around, just
Yeah.
being happy.
Right.
And he's like, okay, this guy does not have it all upstairs.
Yeah. You
McDowell
think
is
he's on
thinking.
drugs or something?
Right. And
Yeah.
then my favorite other part is when Lisa's in the office and Akeem's over there mopping and he's just
Yeah.
smiling at her. He goes,
Right.
"Can I pick up the trash?" And
That's
and she turns around and she goes, "No, my trash is good." "Okay. When you think of trash, think of Akeem."
right. That's right. And
Like,
he realizes what he says. And I remember at that point, I'm like, oh my gosh. But he realizes what he says. And she kind of looks at him like, who the hell is this guy? But
right,
in a way, he's kind of cute, because what guy in New York acts like that and does that? You
right,
know what I mean? So I did see when she looks at him, kind of had that, you know, curious about him
right.
at that point. Yes.
Most definitely. And that's something that I really have to admire about Akeem, though. He's just really humble. Whatever
Yeah.
he does it with a smile on his face
Right.
and everything. He doesn't care. I also love what's the other comedian's name? The one that had the milkshake in his hand.
Um.
Uh,
Uh. Oh gosh, the guy that threw it at him.
no. Okay, when he goes, and that's where the big bucks come in.
Oh, Louis
Where
Anderson, who
Yeah,
plays
Louis
Maurice.
Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Right.
felt bad for his character because of the fact that every single time he had a milkshake in his hand and trying to give it to a customer, something would always happen. McDowell comes in, knocks the milkshake out of his
Right.
hand, and he spills it, and he has to make another milkshake. And
Right.
then Daryl comes in, and McDowell takes the milkshake away from Louis again,
Right.
gives it to Daryl. I just
It
felt
was a
bad for.
little thing, because
Right,
Louis Anderson's part was so funny because his facial expressions was just always depressed because
right.
he knows how these people are. He knows how,
Mhm.
Soul Glow is and whatnot. But yeah, that was funny. The milkshake scenes, absolutely. The little things that they did to make you laugh.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also too, did you know? Fun fact: did you know that they cast Louis because of the fact that back in those days you couldn't have like an all black or white cast or anything like that either. So
No.
basically, they casted him because of the fact he was funny and everything. So they put him
Okay.
in this so the way it wouldn't, so the way they could have at least one white actor in the movie, so the way it
Well,
wouldn't
I didn't
backfire.
know that, but they
Yeah,
picked the right one because I mean,
they did.
Louis Anderson is absolutely just hilarious. Um,
He,
Side note, remember he had a cartoon that used to come
yep.
on Saturday mornings called Louis, and it was absolutely the funniest cartoon ever. You guys have to go back and look at that. Really funny, and it was on for a while.
Yeah, I remember watching that as a kid in the
Yeah,
90s. I
same
always
here.
watched it. But another thing though too is I like whenever he goes, "Yeah, and pretty soon it's the manager's position."
That's
And you know what that means? That's
that's
when the big bucks start rolling.
That's right. I love that scene. He's so excited about that. And it goes back to like how Hakim is, how he views Americans and how he's just happy to be. He's happy to be in Queens. He's happy to be regular and not
Right,
be known as the prince, And this takes us to when Lisa decides to ask him if he's dating anyone. And he's like, no. And she's like, you should come to a game with me and Daryl. And so he ends up going with Lisa's sister, Patrice, who Patrice is really into Hakim. And remember, they go to the game And it's
Yep.
really funny because Hakim doesn't know he's jumping up and saying hooray at the wrong times. I thought that was really funny. And Daryl, being an ass that he is, looking over and making jokes about him and all that. But I love the scene when Patrice puts her hands underneath his jacket.
Oh yeah, because remember, he goes, "You're probably like sucker,"
That's right. That's right.
and
That's right.
and Daryl makes a smart ass comment. He goes, "Yeah, soccer is probably the only sport you play over in Africa." I'm
Right.
like, ew. I said, I wish that Hakeem would just go ahead and deck him, just one good time.
Exactly. Knowing that we know that Hakim can fight and all that, you want him to like to break it off on Daryl all the time. But he keeps his
Definitely.
composure just because he knows that he has more than Daryl could ever even imagine. So he kind of just doesn't sweat him. But
Right.
he was rude at times. But the sister and messing with them at the game, and Hakim jumps up because she's fiddling with them, and I love that scene.
Yeah, I love that scene as well. And also, too, I want to mention this that I thought, because here's the thing. I believe that Hakeem was taught not to take someone down unless it's in self defense. And that's
Right.
the only time that he would actually strike somebody is in self defense. So,
Yeah.
him with Daryl, I think that was just him holding his composure, keeping everything in. Because
Yeah.
I think Hakeem knows that he's being made fun of. I think
Okay.
he
Okay.
really does, in a
Okay.
sense, because he's not wary. I think he's just not conscientious, and well, you know what I'm saying. He doesn't
Yeah, I
know
get you. I get you.
that what's coming out of his mouth
Right.
is, you know what I'm saying. Doesn't realize
I
what
get
he's
you.
saying until like later on. So I'm thinking he knows that Daryl's an asshole.
Okay, I can
I'm
see
thinking he
that. I
does,
can see that.
and he's
Also,
not.
the
And
scene. Go ahead.
I think he knows he's an asshole, but he's at the same time he's like, you know what? I have to tolerate this and let it go, so that way I don't go down to on his level.
Right. I can see that. I can see that. Also, the really big scene when he goes to the bathrooms and he's in line. I think, yeah, he's in line. And
To go to the bathroom.
remember, one of the guys who's selling the hot dogs and whatnot walks
Right.
by him and drops everything because he too is from Africa and knows that Hakim is a prince, and he drops down to his knees. Everyone's in the line wondering what the hell's going on, and he's like, Prince, oh my gosh, and oh my gosh, and all this stuff. And Hakim's trying to get up, trying to play it
Right.
easy because he doesn't want anyone to know that he's a prince.
No.
And so by the time Lisa and Daryl come towards the bathroom area, Hakim and the guy's like, can you please take a picture with me, please? And so they end up taking a picture. Lisa and Daryl's looking at him like, what did you guys do in the bathroom? You're so memorable.
No.
I love that scene because he almost got basically.
Right. But also too, he goes, who is that guy? Oh, it's just a guy I met in the bathroom.
Right. Right.
I'm like,
Right.
that sounds
Yeah,
so
it was
wrong.
hilarious. It was hilarious.
And then also too, remember when, okay, so at that time, the next day, that's when we actually have Samuel Jackson robbing McDowell.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And just, and I like how, he's telling everybody, he says, freeze, motherfucker, one more time and everything. I'm going to go in and blast everybody's face off. And then here's Akeem unscrewing the mop handle slowly, unscrewing it. And then
Right.
City Hall is over there. Simi is over there just watching him. And all of a sudden he goes, sir, I'm going to have to tell you to refrain from violence. You should not do this.
Right.
He goes, fuck you. He goes, sir, you need to go ahead and relax. You should not use that language in front of others. And next thing you know, he said, fuck off. And the next thing you know, he winds up
That's
using
right. Yes.
using the mop on
Right.
the mop handle on Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson
Yeah.
comes falls on the floor. Then we have Simi. He winds up taking the shotgun and he goes, freeze your rhinoceros snot vermin or
Right.
whatever he called.
Right.
And that just made me laugh. And then of course McDowell gets a hang of what happened
Yeah.
and invites them over to his house. But Akeem thinks that he's going over there to sit down as
Hang
equals.
out. Yeah.
Right, not work and everything,
Yeah.
being heroes since they took down Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
Instead, they're valet hoppers.
And wine pours.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Akeem got the wine pourer job, and then we
Right.
have Simi who winds up having the valet parking.
Ballet. Yes. And I thought, when I first saw it, I remember thinking, oh, okay, cool, because remember before this, I think the scene before that, the guy at the barbershop was telling him, if you want to get the girl, you gotta, get to be friends with her dad and all that. So after he does this, and takes down Samuel L. Jackson, and he's invited to, I think his name's Cleo's house. He thinks he's going as a guest, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going as a guest. And then when they show up, that's when they realize, oh, you're doing valet. He invites Hakim in. So I'm thinking, okay, so he's gonna hang out with Hakim. And then he's like, the wine bar's over there, and you're gonna pour the wine and all that stuff. But
Right.
during that party, he has a chance to, isn't that the time where he has a chance to talk to Lisa,
Lisa.
because come to find out, it was an engagement party that Lisa did not know about.
Right. As a matter of fact, it was a thing between Daryl and McDowell.
Exactly.
And everything, a conversation between them two in secret.
Right.
And McDowell gave him the okay to do it without Lisa knowing. And of course, McDowell is only looking at like the big thing here, where basically it's money. And and remember, whenever he's showing Simi and also Akeem around in his house, he goes, one day in 3 or 5 years, you'll have a place just like this.
Right.
I'm like, I was thinking to myself, bitch, please. He has a mansion. Your little house don't mean nothing, like God's to him.
And like you said about Hakim, like obviously he knows that these are low blows and whatnot because he holds it together. He doesn't say anything. And I'm thinking, wait till you find out who he is. This little hovel that you live in, this home that you live in is nothing. So it doesn't impress him, but I get it. And you get to meet Daryl's, the famous scene where you meet Daryl's mom, dad, and grandma. And they're all sitting on the couch and they all have the soul glow, and he invites them up and they each leave freaking the hair grease stains, the spray stain in the couch. And I just found that scene so funny. I absolutely found it hilarious.
Just goes to show you how greasy and also how disgusting that product actually is and how cheap it is.
Exactly. Because when you see the commercial, you see the guy and the girl in commercial. Remember, they made it a point to have it dripping so that you know that this is like a really nasty product, but it's really huge. Right. I love that too. The guy and girl that does the Soul Glow commercials that you will see throughout the film to let you know how big of a product this is and how rich Daryl, his family is.
Right. They're very well established, but it's just one of those things in the 80s, though. We all know that it's going to be one of those big phases that just phases out after time and they're going to go bankrupt. Right. So it's not going to be like a forever product like they think it is.
Yes.
So.
Right. Right. But the plugs and the billboards and Soul Glow, love it. Love that they came up with that.
Me too. And then I like the conversation when Akeem gets the champagne. When she gets pissed off at Daryl and her father, she storms out. I like how Akeem gets gets the wine bottle.
Yeah.
And he goes over there to make sure she's okay. And then, they wind up talking. I like the conversation that they have back and forth with each other and getting to know each other as equals finally, without any distractions from McDowell or from Daryl or Lisa's sister. So I liked it when she goes, so what do you think of Lisa? He goes, I'm not Lisa, but the sister. What do you think of my sister? He goes, I like her, but I like you.
Right.
Right.
And remember, you know, when he goes out there and she's sitting on a swing and he goes out there, he sits next to her and on a swing. And remember, he's kind of sitting like this, you know, straight up. And she's like, you know, could you just relax? And he goes, you know, yeah, kind of hunches over and relaxes. But yeah, that scene was really good because that's when she realized or became interested because she saw another side to Hakim and got to see that he's a sweetheart. And that's the point where they end up going out on a date. I think they decided
Right.
to go out to a museum.
Right. And at that point too, this is another thing that happened though too, I think, was let me think. Remember when Daryl and McDowell's trying to make out with him and goes, look, man, why don't you come over to my house? I'm sure that Lisa will forgive you
Yes.
and everything. It'll be fine. You can come over.
Right.
So at that point, no. The very first date that they went on was, remember, they went and ate somewhere.
That's right. They were going to cook at his apartment. And she was like, we can cook at my apartment. He's like, no, we'll do my apartment. She decides to get the groceries. They go to his apartment and he brings her there because he wants to see if she really will like him, right? Because his apartment's shitty. But he opens the door to the apartment and sees there is a jacuzzi inside, like Simi went and redecorated. The apartment is beautiful and it has everything new in there. So he's kind of shuts the door and she's like, what? You know, and he's like, just a minute. And she's like, oh, I'm not ashamed of your apartment. You know, you don't have to be ashamed. And he's like, no, just wait here, goes inside, gets on Simi, takes the money, all of Simi's money, because he sees that he's going to be a problem, and goes back outside and tells her, you know, she's like, what? And he's like, we can't go in there. Why? There's a rat, a big rat on the inside. And she's like, would you just like to go to dinner? And he's like, yeah. So they get ready to go walk to dinner. On the way to dinner, you get the special appearance from the Bums.
Right. And what's the two characters' name again? So that way I can...
Mortimer and Randolph.
Yeah, the two people from Trading Places. As a matter of fact, if you notice in the background...
Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici.
Okay. If you notice, though... Okay, you noticed how the theme song was basically... The score was basically focused on, primarily on Akeem in this movie. You know that was the thing? Okay, so once he hands him the money, it turns into a Trading Places theme song.
Honestly, dude, I thought the theme song, I knew I heard it before, but I thought it was from some movie that James Earl James Earl Jones played in Stubbins called Claudine. It sounded like it was part of that, but it was from Trading Places, huh?
Right. Because here's the thing. I would actually understand if they did it with James Earl Jones, if James Earl Jones was in that scene and they put it out towards that. But it was two characters who got kicked out of the stock market because of the character that Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd played. So now they're living out on the streets. So having that theme song in there is actually fitting because of who they are. And that actually describes their character from that movie if you've seen it. So it was actually a shared universe before shared universe was actually popular. Was actually cool.
And see, I didn't know that was the theme song. But now that you say that, because I haven't seen that movie like forever, but I do know those characters. So when they, put their heads out of the box that they were living in, and he gave them the money that was in the McDowell bag, and Mortimer, was like, we're back. And so you realize, if you've seen Trading Places, that's who they are. And then you see them again when Lisa and Hakim are having dinner, and they go by the window and they see them having dinner, and they're like, thank you so much, we really appreciate it. And Lisa kind of looks at Hakim and it's like, gosh, what did you do? And he's like, oh, just gave him a little bit of whatever. But I love that they put them in there in the film, the shared universe, like you said.
Right. And then at that point, Lisa and him wind up dancing.
Right.
And then I love when he's singing on top of his lungs because he had a good time. He goes,
To be loved.
"Oh, to be loved, to be loved, to be loved, Lisa."
Right.
And then next thing you know it, he goes, "Shut the fuck up."
Right. Right.
The
Shut
neighborhood.
the fuck up. Be quiet.
Yeah,
He's so happy because he got to know Lisa. She didn't care about where he lived. So hence, there's my wife.
right,
You know, the woman that
right.
he was looking for in Queens. So where are we next in this story? The museum
Okay.
where there's
Yep.
pictures of him in the museum.
Right. And that was actually when McDowell and him and McDowell and Daryl have that conversation.
Yes.
Also, too, we also
Right.
have another thing that happens with Simi and Akeem the next morning before that, where they get the landlord to move into their apartment.
That's
And
right.
my favorite thing that Akeem says, "So is your apartment a shithole too?"
And he's like, it's a real shithole. It's really bad. So yeah, they
We'll
moved
take
to
it.
that apartment because obviously can't live in the apartment that Simi, redecorated. And the owner of the apartment complex or the apartment building is absolutely pleased and happy with what they've done with the apartment. But
Right.
remember, before that though, Patrice comes over looking
Oh yeah.
for Hakim, and
Right.
Simi's there, and she walks in, sees the jacuzzi in the middle of the living room, and she's like, "What are you guys doing? You don't make
Right.
enough money at McDowell's to afford this." And so you find out that Simi tells her he's the prince
That
and Hakim is his help,
servant. Right. His servant. Yeah, that's
his
the way he
servant.
worded
Sorry, his
it.
servant.
No,
Yeah,
it's okay. But and then she starts making out with him, and also too,
right.
remember before that too, as well, Simi actually asked for $500,000 at
That's
Western
right.
Union,
That's right.
and then he upped it to 10,000, ten hundred
Yeah,
thousand, or something like that.
that's right. Oh, well, he goes like 300,000, and the lady's like, because the lady's reading the letter that is really funny when she reads it out loud, what he says. And she thinks it's absolute bullshit because he's at like some
Right.
Western Union type of place.
Right.
And he's like, okay, maybe I should do 500,000. And she's like, why don't you just say 1 million? I'll ask for 1 million, which causes a problem because when father gets that, he ends up coming to America, but we won't talk about that yet because
No, there's a little bit left that we have to get through.
exactly.
There's the museum part with Lisa and Nakeem. They're having a good time,
Yes.
and this is what makes me laugh though. Like they're actually where the Zoom. So where's he from again?
He's from
Zamunda.
Zamunda. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zamunda.
Zamunda.
And so they're actually near that little exhibit in the art gallery, and then there's a picture of him, and he pushes Lisa against the wall to make out with her. I think
Right.
we should go.
Did you look at the picture though? How they had him look in the picture? It's
Yeah,
him with the full mustache, but they made him shorter because it's him when he was younger. I just found that picture absolutely hilarious because when you look at the picture and you see that it's him at a younger age, but with the full mustache, I thought that was funny that they
I did
put that
too.
in there, to show the progression and how long he's been king and prince. So I just found that picture hilarious. I thought it was funny.
I did too. I found that hilarious, and then also too, it shows you how miserable he was. Even James Earl Jones didn't even look that happy in the picture
Yeah,
either.
exactly. They all look miserable.
And and then he goes, "I think we need to go." So they go on ahead. They go back over to McDowell's house and everything. But
Yep.
before they do that, that's when we actually see James Earl Jones, King Joffrey,
Yes.
coming in America
Right.
and coming into New York, and then he gets the rose bearers
Oh
and
yeah.
everything to enter the barber shop. And
Yes.
he goes, "Do you know my son, Akeem?" And he goes, "Who? I don't know anybody named that. And then of course the white old man, he goes,
Right.
Cuba Kente, the one that lives
Yeah.
upstairs.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know him. So
And that's when the dude like touches his because he has that lion,
yeah,
Shaw thing on. And when you mentioned earlier when he's like,
yeah,
is that velvet? And he
yeah.
just kind of King just kind of looks at him, and I love all the barbershop
Me
scenes, dude.
too.
I couldn't wait. I heard that they were gonna have like their own little movie way back when, that they were
I'll be
gonna try
down
to do like
for
a
it.
spin off with the four of
Right.
them, and I thought that would be so fun if they could have done that.
Me too. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Ice Cube movie Barbershop,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, I feel like this was the barbershop before the other barbershop. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Because they had their own little film going on there. I
Right,
mean, if you think about it, it was like their own little thing going on, that the jokes that the way that they would bust each other's balls, and the way that they
right,
shot it, where you literally you don't see them cut it up. It looks like it
no,
was just individual people playing that part. But yeah,
right.
they're just great. They're just great. But anyway, so he ends up telling them that they work at um, McDowell's.
McDowell's. Yep, yep.
McDowell's. And doesn't he go to the restaurant, King
Yeah,
Joffrey?
he does. He
Okay.
does. And another thing that I find is funny is Louis knocks on his door. McDowell's holding a McDonald's operation thing to figure out how McDonald's runs their operations.
Right.
And someone's here to see you. And he goes, it's not McDonald's, is it? So
That's right. Because they were taking pictures in the beginning. There was this guy taking pictures of the restaurant because they were in conflict with McDonald's. So
right,
yeah. So that's why he thought it was, McDonald's.
right. And also because I was thinking too, they took his day-to-day operations on how they operated it. So I was thinking
Yes.
that's also
Yes.
too.
Very true.
But and he goes, he looks at King Joffrey. He goes, "How can I help you, gentlemen?" He goes, "I'm here to look for my son, Akeem." I also like how pissed off he was when he found out that his son works. Like that was like the worst
Yes,
thing.
that's right. Right.
And then Simi also gets in trouble, and his
Oh,
his
that's
this
right.
and I like how he gets punished. He goes, "Your punishment will be bathing with one of the other servants." He goes,
Yep.
"Okay," and then he goes, "Yes, Joffrey. Yes, King. Yes, Your Majesty."
And makes him go stay at the Astoria Hotel, which is like
Right,
this really nice, elegant hotel in New York. And, yeah, so he basically sends him to asylum there. And that was his punishment, so which
right,
Simi was very happy about. And also, when Cleo, Lisa's dad, when King Joffrey gives him, the money, he has the dude give him money for his troubles. And remember, he looks at the money and sees Hakeem's face on the money and was like,
right.
oh my gosh, my daughter's with a prince. And he is happy as hell. So then we
Yep.
move to the house scene.
Yeah, we move into the house scene where Akeem and also Lisa are back because remember the other thing too was they were going to go back to his apartment. He sees
Yes,
the rose petals. He goes, "We cannot go here. We have to go."
that's right. That's
So
right. That's right.
so he goes back over to McDowell's, and that's of course when Lisa and him where McDowell's basically stalling them to stay.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
finally Akeem leaves, and then of course he winds up ratting out Akeem and her are actually there. And at
Yes.
that point, that's when James Earl Jones Joffrey comes back at the same time that he's over there. Akeem's already at the hotel, and
Yep.
he sees Simi over there getting bathed for his
That's right. That's
punishment.
right. The
And
punishment. Yes.
so he goes back over. Then, of course, I love the rose petal thing whenever they enter in McDowell's house. And
Oh,
then,
and
of
they
course,
throw, yeah,
right. And then, of course, I like it whenever he puts the queen into the lazy boy, lifts her feet up.
that was
That
so
was just
hilarious.
comical.
That was absolutely, if you look at the scene when Cleo's talking to the dad, you see the mom, Eddie Murphy's mom, the queen, trying to get out of that damn lazy boy and don't know
Oh,
how to
yeah.
work it, and she's struggling in the background getting out of the lazy boy. But so Lisa's still there, and King Joffrey wants to have a word with Lisa. He goes in Lisa's room, you know, Cleo, the dad's like, the king wants to talk to you. And he goes in there and he pretty much tells her that, listen, you know, my son's not in love with you. He's only over here in America to sow his royal oats. And Lisa is absolutely offended, as she should be, because by that point, she's already fallen in love with Hakeem. He's different than any guy she's ever dated. And, you know, she leaves out. She's upset. You know, the queen is like, what's wrong with you, dear? And, you know, she's like, I got to get out of here. And the queen's upset because at this point, she feels that, you know, she knows Hakeem obviously likes this woman, and that dad went in there and basically messed it up for Hakeem. So Lisa storms out and she leaves, and then you have Hakeem end up coming to McDowell's house, and that's when he is telling his dad that, you know, I love her.
Right. And then, you know, that's whenever he goes and runs after Lisa. At that point, Daryl enters the house as well, and that's when I like how he stares into the camera as like and breaking the third wall kind of thing.
Yes.
Like he's like, this isn't so bad. Like looking at the audience, like, you know what? I get with the sister now.
Exactly. Because he goes over and his sister's like, what's wrong? And he's all sad and whatnot. And she's trying to get his, you know, take his clothes off. And then he stops, looks at the camera, which I love that part when he looks at the camera. And basically, like you said, you know, this isn't bad. You know, the sister's a freak anyway, so he's good. But yeah, so yeah, then they go after, or they're driving because they're taking Hakeem home. You know, they're telling him you can't do this. And as they're driving, he sees Lisa heading into the subway, and stops and gets out of the car and goes after her in the subway. And then you have the scene where they're on the train.
Right. And then I like how he's going through the carts trying to get her attention.
Yes.
And then she also throws the earrings at him. Goes, so I'm guessing you're the one who bought me these, and throws the earrings that he bought her. And he goes, she goes, why did you say that? Why didn't you tell me that you were rich? He goes, but would you love me anyways if I was rich? Would it have mattered if I was rich or not?
Exactly.
And she stops, she hesitates for a minute though.
Yeah.
Just trying to get her mind together, her thoughts together. And at one point, it seems like that she was going to say, no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and then
I thought
she
so
fights
too,
that urge. Then she fights that urge off.
And the people in the train are kind of prompting, you know, the older lady looks at her and kind of, you know, saying, you know, like, go for it, go with them. And I thought they were going to get together, but as you were saying,
I thought so too, to be honest with you. I thought that, and then also too, the woman looks at him and goes, "I'll marry you." The old woman.
That's right. And he gives her those expensive earrings that were like $500,000. Gives them to her, and the lady's so cute. She looks at him, looks at the ring. Her eyes gets big, and she's super happy. And so you think that at that point, you figure it's over. It's not going to happen. Lisa's like, she can't do it. She leaves the train, and you're thinking it's over with. And then tell us, John.
Right. Okay, so after that point and everything, they wind up together, of course.
Yeah.
They go down to Zamunda. They do get married. They have this big old huge thing. I like it whenever he goes, okay, you now can kiss the bride. And he just keeps on kissing her. He goes, okay, Your Majesty, you can stop now. But I also like the other part. There's actually another thing, though, too, I liked. Because you mean to tell me you would give all this up? He goes, would you? And she goes, nah. She was...
Nah. I love, honestly, that's when I start crying. I'm like tearing up at that part. This was just a really good movie. Everyone who played a part in the movie, whether it was a small part or a walk-on part, everyone did their job in this movie. It was just great. And it sets everyone up for, you know, coming to America too, where everyone will be able to see that tonight and tomorrow on Prime Video.
That's something that, Variety reported it maybe about 30 minutes ago or 40 minutes ago.
Okay.
On it.
It's already on Amazon Prime?
Yep, it's already a day early.
Oh, awesome.
As a matter of fact, it was supposed to arrive tomorrow, so it's
Yeah.
actually a day early. So I cannot wait to watch that. I'm gonna be watching that
Yes.
probably after this. But
Right.
Coming to America is hands down one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies.
Yes.
I can watch this movie over and over again and pick up something new every single time, which is
Absolutely.
unusual for a comedy. Because
Yes.
usually comedies are like pretty straightforward on
Oh
what they
yeah.
are and everything. But you can with this, there's just so much in it that you can pick up on that you didn't
Yes.
catch before.
Yep.
Like, for instance, I didn't pick up on the background when she's trying to get out of the lazy boy, where the queen is trying to get out of the lazy
Oh
boy.
yeah, and she's struggling. Yeah.
Right. And the background and everything. I
Also,
just
there's a scene, okay, a scene that I just found that's really funny. Do you remember the Grand Theft Auto game in Vice City when they go into the club and you see the people doing the dance and they do this basic dance that they do?
yeah.
Well, when they have the club scene and they're walking into the club, if you look at the dance floor, there's this couple on the dance floor and there's this white dude in these MC Hammer pants. And I'm telling you, it's like he's doing the dance that they had him do in the video game, the Vice City video game, that same type of dance. Absolutely hilarious. So if you go back to the scene, look at it, you will find his dancing so funny because it looks like Vice City, how the
Okay, I'm gonna have to
characters
look at that.
dance. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
check
because
that out
I
now.
never noticed that until today. And when I see it, I rewind it because I'm like, oh my God, that's freaking hilarious. Because it's just really funny. I'm a video
Okay.
game person, so
Me
everything's a
too.
video game. Yeah,
Same here as well. I'm a gamer as well,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
haven't played Vice City in God knows how long. I wish they
Oh
would actually
God,
remaster that one. To be honest with you, that was
yeah,
my
yeah.
favorite one.
Was it your favorite? It was the hardest one for me.
It was the hardest, but I knew how to actually work it without the cheat codes to where I can get money
Okay,
off of everything I needed without cheating.
okay. See, I
I
played
had
it
a
through the
strategy
first
system
time,
going.
struggle, and then the second time, I cheated the hell out of it because I wanted to
I
get through
don't
the
blame.
game hard. But it took forever. It took a long time for me to finish that
That
game. It
game
was
is
just
long.
hard. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. But it is a great game. Anyways,
right.
though, yeah, I'm sorry.
So it's okay. It's okay.
Anyways, this was a great movie. Great movie.
It definitely is. This movie, like I said, is a classic. Go on and check out Coming to America Part 1. It's actually on Amazon Prime as well. Do a double feature if you guys want to, just to see how it's stacked up with one another. I'm glad I watched this before Part 2,
Right.
so the way I don't have to wonder about certain cameos,
Yeah,
certain jokes, and stuff like that. I can watch it, and maybe it might actually enhance my experience with
exactly.
with it. So, I think that might actually help. So, where can everybody reach you at?
You can find me on Instagram at McCree123hotmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Rossie Lynn Bark 1. And you can find me on Facebook at Rossie Lynn.
All right. And
Yes.
guys, if you guys want to, you guys don't have to, but if you guys do, you guys can go on ahead, donate to the page. How do you do that? You just go on ahead, click the link below at www.gofundme.com/movie lovers podcast. And you guys can go on ahead, donate a couple of dollars towards the page if you guys want to. This is to keep the lights on at Movie Lovers Unite, and also to maybe get some better sound equipment, get some better technology and stuff like that. So, it's just to advance the page and keep us running. Another thing too is you guys want to go for all your entertainment needs and purposes by going to www.movieloversunite.com for all your movie news, TV news, movie reviews, and stuff like that. Also, too, if you guys want to, you can follow me on Facebook at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite over there, and also Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite over on Instagram. You can also follow me on Pinterest as well at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite over there. Then, of course, Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter, as well as on the Stereo app at Movie Lovers Unit over there. Again, guys can also follow me at John DiGorio8 on Twitter. So I actually have a couple announcements before this is actually over with.
Oh,
Tomorrow night is going to be our WandaVision season finale. I know that this was, we were in the wrong studio. That's a glitch on my part. But tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time, we're going to have our season finale of WandaVision. And it's going to be me, Tamara, and her husband John Henry. We're all going to be reviewing the final season of WandaVision. I do appreciate everybody that stuck with me through the whole season of WandaVision. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Another thing too is we're actually going to be doing Bucky and the Winter Soldier TV series when it drops in the middle of next month. Well, this month actually. So we're going to be doing that soon. And then also too, on March 7th at 8 o'clock p.m., I'm doing a one-on-one interview with Crichton Hobbs for his documentary film of, let's see, I had a glitch. But anyway, it's going to be How Many Chances for Crichton Hobbs. That's actually his documentary that he's going to be doing. And then, of course, on March 10th at 8 o'clock p.m., 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific time, I'm going to be having Rampage Misfit on with me, and we're going to be reviewing Monster Hunter. And then after that, I'm going to have Mr. Jay Wade. He's actually part of the movie Trivia Schmodown community, and I'm also part of that community as well. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugliness of different movie franchises. So that's everything that we're doing. I hope that you guys enjoy this segment and everything. Please join us tomorrow night for WandaVision. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of good speculation and things like that. So go on ahead, come on in, enjoy, comment in the comment section. It's going to be a blast. And always, until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. Can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.
Bye, guys.